Hello everyone, my name is Adam and I love movies. I grew up in the 80s and 90s and the nostalgia of those times will always stick with me. But sometimes nostalgia can cloud your vision of things. So come with me as I go through the movies I swear all my life I've loved, and let's see if I can still see the magic that I once did. This is Adam's Retro Rewatch. Hi everybody, and welcome to Adam's Retro Rewatch. I know it's a mouthful to say. It's been hard for me to say it ever since I've tried to do the intro voiceover. But I got it done, so I can say it sometimes, most of the time. Retro Rewatch. Retro Rewatch. I'm a pro. It shows. What is on the docket today? The docket, because we are in court. I don't know what I'm saying. Kind of winging this. I have a little bit of notes. They're up here. So if you see me looking down a bit, that's because I'm looking at my notes. So let's get started on what we are talking about today. It was the summer of 1986, and I was 6. Yes, the summer of 86, I was 6. I haven't become 7 yet. And I was on a summer camp trip to SeaWorld. Because I live in Florida, and SeaWorld is a place that we went to on summer trips in the 80s. But I was not excited about the trip, mainly because I was more excited to come home and watch a movie coming to HBO that night about kids going into space. Was it Space Camp? No. It's not Space Camp. A little background. Back in the 80s, it usually took a year or two for movies to go from the theater to video to television. And I missed out on the theater and video, so I was eager to see this movie on the television. And if you missed it, you had to look it up and find out when you were going to be able to see it again. So, this whole thing was a big deal to me, not SeaWorld. Long story short, on the way back home, the bus broke down on the interstate, and it took extra time to get it back running. When we got back, all the worried parents were happy their kids got home and stuff because, it's the 80s. There were no cell phones. There was no GPS tracking. You couldn't chip your kids. They chip kids nowadays? I don't know. They chip cats. Do they chip kids? I don't know. I don't have any kids or cats, or a weird cat-kid hybrid. I don't have anything other than me over here in this room that I apparently live in. Anyway, all the parents were all excited that their kids were okay and safe, and including mine, and they all hugged me and stuff, and all I just wanted to do was get home, and I made a beeline for the car, and we got home, and I missed the movie. It was about to go off, and I threw a 6-year-old fit. It was a bad one. But that's when I learned about other times you could watch the movies, and so I finally got to see the 1985 Joe Dante adventure movie for kids, with kids, some kids, they're all kids, Explorers. So this movie had become one of my favorites throughout my childhood. It exists in the now mostly defunct subgenre of children adventure movies. Like The Goonies and Lost Boys and that kind of stuff. Even Stand By Me. The film was directed by Joe Dante, right after his big success of his Christmas classic Gremlins. And it's also the first Hollywood performance from both Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix. Those two. Yeah. They're two of the 3 main kids. The third character, Darren, was played by Jason Presson, who didn't really do much after Explorers. He got a couple bit roles and then kind of faded away, which is sad because he was great in that movie. He was a great actor. But not just the kids were good. The supporting cast was fantastic. You had James Cromwell from Star Trek. He was Zephyr Cochrane, and he's also he's a character actor. Most of these are character actors. Robert Picardo, also from Star Trek, but he's in a lot of things. Robert Picardo is one of those guys that, well, this whole movie is full of guys who go, oh yeah, I know that guy. He was in that one thing that one time. And of course, with it being a Joe Dante movie, Dick Miller, the late great Dick Miller, is in this movie. And they are all the stereotyped, clueless adults that always show up in kids' films, like Mikey and Brandon's mom and the Goonies and that kind of stuff. But because they're child-centered adventures, so the adults don't really matter, but they need to be in the movie because then it would just be Lord of the Flies in space. In space. Quick synopsis about the film. Ethan Hawke plays the main character, Ben, who's a big science fiction nut, both movies and books and comic books, like the classics illustrated and stuff. He sleeps to movies like War of the Worlds and This Island Earth. And at the very beginning, he has this really cool dream about him flying over a giant circuit board. And it always caught my attention. That's what caught my attention when I was a kid, because the bright blues and reds flying over the circuit board looked very Tron-like the beginning of Tron when Kevin Flynn first enters the computer. So that made it exciting for me. In the circuit board, he finds this strange, I don't know, like symbol type thing that doesn't belong in normal circuit boards. And as soon as he wakes up, he jots down a diagram and tells his friend Wolfgang, who's played by River Phoenix, that he's going to show it to him the next day. So the next day, we see Wolfgang going to school, and he's played by River Phoenix. I think I just said that. And he is the stereotyped nerd. He wears slacks and a coat and a jacket, and he's got the glasses and everything, and he's always carrying books. And he's so bullied that by the time he gets to school and meets up with Ben, he does not want to go back. He doesn't want to go into the school, so he takes the day off. And Wolfgang says he'll take a look at his diagram and see what he can do with it. That same day, Ben gets bullied by those bullies, and he is saved by Darren, who he's kind of like the dirty scrapper guy. He doesn't take no gruff from anyone. He's not dirty. He's dirty fighting. And he saves Ben, and Ben latches onto him because he saved his life. He saved his life from a bully. When you're being bullied and you're being beaten up, it's definitely feels like, saving your life. Darren is also like a gearhead. He deals with like cars and stuff. He has a motorcycle that he's always fixing, but he befriends Ben pretty easily, and he also befriends Wolfgang pretty easily. After school, they go to Wolfgang's house and discover that he has built what Ben diagrammed, and he put the circuit board into his Apple IIe computer, because it's the 80s. It took a lot of power for that. So within this circuit board, he finds out that the computer can create matter, which is really cool. But not just any matter. It's this little sphere, not a phantasm sphere. Not one of these. It's more of a glowy, transparent sphere. And using the computer, he can manipulate its size and motion and stuff. And they do experiments, and one goes awry, but it worked. because that's kind of how experiments work. Your failing usually creates some kind of success, and this awry had Ben accidentally put the sphere around Wolfgang, and he got it to travel all over the place. And Wolfgang realized that it's an airtight sphere.
Do you know what this means? Do you realize what it means? No.
They could basically travel in it as long as there's enough oxygen. There's no inertia within the sphere because it's airtight. So they play around with that, and then they decide that they're going to build a vehicle to fly around in this sphere, powered by his computer, which in the 80s, computers always had to be plugged in. There was no such thing as lithium-ion batteries that were readily available. So in the movie, a little suspension of disbelief, he's powering it by D batteries. Or is it C batteries? I don't know, but they were just batteries. And it worked really well. So Darren, being this gearhead guy, knows of a junkyard that he frequents a lot. And they start getting all these parts for a junk built spaceship. Well, it's not really a spaceship, it's just a ship. But of course, Ben, being the sci-fi nerd, wants to make it a spaceship, and it's really cool. You get the building montage while the ship is made of the main I guess fuselage is a tilt-a-whirl cart. If you ever been to a carnival, it's the spinny things that are on the a slope, and they spin. They look like the Haunted Mansion cars. That is like their main fuselage. I can't not say fuselage. It's a fun word, fuselage. And because it only holds 3 of them, it only holds a few, so it's fuselage. Those are high quality jokes on this new format I'm doing. Yeah, so it's built from a tilt-a-whirl, and then they add stuff like luggage on top and a washing machine door as one of the windows. Actually, 2 of the windows. And the front window, the windshield, I guess, is made from a TV screen. The very front of it is a garbage can with a space shuttle figurehead on the top. And then they gave it these cool wings. It's very junky looking, but it's very iconic. It's one of the most underrated iconic 80s vehicles that either you know or you don't know. And once it's done, after the montage, Darren decides that they are going to name it the Thunder Road. Yes, named after the Bruce Springsteen song, Thunder Road. So on their inaugural flight, they put on their oxygen masks. They bring their supplies, which are Fritos and chips and cookies and cakes, because they're children. They're still children. I mean, they're like late middle school, I would imagine. Early high school. It doesn't really say. At one point, they seem pretty mature, and then another point, they seem more childlike. So I'm going to say 7th or 8th grade. But they get in their ship, they put the sphere around them, they take off, and they do the one thing that you would expect these kids to do in a ship that they could do anything with, including going underground, which they didn't do. It was just that was one of the accidents. They could burrow, but that's not part of it. They go to the drive-in theater, and this is one of my favorite parts, especially now that I've studied film and stuff. They go to the drive-in, and it's a horrible sci-fi movie made for this movie. They called it Star Killer, but this movie shows the brilliance of character actor Robert Picardo. He plays Star Killer, the starring role. He's this blonde action hero. And it is beyond a B movie. The effects are, hanging on string spaceships. Uh, the set pieces keep falling over, and the dubbing is off.
He was like my father. Do you see what I mean?
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful homage to bad sci-fi movies, and it's just absolutely wonderful. After small parts here and there in the movie, at the drive-in, the ship decides to go crazy, and these weird symbols and words come up on the monitor. That's the word. That's the thing you see at the picture tube thing of the computer. These strange things happen, and the ship just goes haywire. It just starts going everywhere and causing a ruckus. Takes out the concession stand and then flies away and then stops right in front of a police helicopter that just happens to be there. Inside this police helicopter is the Joe Dante regular Dick Smith, and he sees something inside one of the windows. It's one of the kids with the gas mask on, so it starts a kind of a compulsion for him to try to figure out who these, well, he doesn't know they're kids, who these things are, and that plot line kind of just got cut out of the movie a bit. There's a couple scenes that involve it, but it basically got cut out to bring more attention to the kids. So once he sees these whatever's inside of the ship, it goes crazy again and starts heading straight up to the atmosphere, and they can't figure out what to do. They get as high as the ionosphere, and Wolfgang just unplugs the computer and plugs it back in, and it basically tricked the computer into going the direct opposite, so it's going straight down. They managed to land it without crashing, and they go off and finish their night. But that night, all three of them share the same dream. They're even talking to each other in their dreams, and it's another flyover of this circuit board. It's a little bit more. It shows a little bit more, and it actually showed a piece that was missing inside of the main piece that created the sphere. Now, this piece that was missing turns out to be a way to create oxygen. Movies, right? They're crazy. Let's just create oxygen from a computer. They figure out all of this dream stuff has basically been a way of some sort of alien life to have them come visit them. And they also figured out that when the machine went haywire and they couldn't understand what was being put on the screen, that they were trying to take control and bring them to them. After a lot of talk and disagreement, Ben basically talks them into, let's do it. Let's have them take control, and let's meet these whatevers that have been trying to contact us.
It's like we're supposed to go.
Well, let's go.
They all get in for their final flight of the night. It's the last flight of the movie. And this is a big turning point in the film. This is the polarizing thing of the film. This is when you mention explorers to some people that go, oh yeah, I didn't really like the movie that much. And it's mainly because of the final act of actually going into space and doing the big thing that the whole movie is about. They go into space, and they let everything take control, and they basically hyperspace and stop in front of this giant ship. It's a big long ship. Kind of looks like a comedic version of the Discovery from 2001, but more bulbous. It has like a mouth that eats the Thunder Road when they get there. And that's basically their way to dock ships. And the ship docks. It does this weird static thing that kind of spooks them into getting out of the ship. So they get out, and at this point, they get separated. And there's some really cool scenes and really cool sets. There's some stop motion robotic creature things that look like it would come right out of Tim Burton before Tim Burton did this stuff. And the sets are big and very detailed, and it's really cool. It's a really cool lead up to the meeting, and they go through slides and weird thought waves things, and it's just a cool little scene, or few scenes. Then they all find each other again, and they get separated again. They go looking for Wolfgang, and when they find him, he's just lounging on this lounge, talking about stars and stuff to this female voice. They are led by Whack. That's the name of the alien that they run into. Whack, also played by Robert Picardo, and he brings them to Wolfgang, who's hanging out with his sister Neek. And these are crazy looking aliens. These would only be described as aliens that you would see in the 80s. They have suction cup hands, alluding to War of the Worlds. But they also have these big heads and antennae at the top, and eyes that are huge, that are just like way up there. And I don't know, there's probably a picture of it right now. He hated the makeup, he hated the appliance. The only really thing he got to do was walk around, move his arms, and move his mouth. It was his mouth, and he needed his mouth because he got to do the the best thing he's probably ever done. And not acting wise, but in more of a manic Robin Williams type of thing. He goes on a pop culture rampage, and that's what a lot of people didn't like about the movie. This part is very cartoony. He just goes off on commercials. He goes off on game shows. He does an entire Little Richard song. And you just find out that they're pop culture junkies. They pick up radio waves and television waves, and they just were just really interested in the entertainment on Earth. But they were afraid to come to Earth because they've also seen the sci-fi movies that Ben loves, and it's all about, aliens coming down, and the Earthlings are attacking them. They even show the opening scene from The Day the Earth Stood Still, when Klaatu opens up the kind of the thing that has like the secrets of the universe in it, and the army guy shoots him, and it shows that humans would not be tolerant to them. So he found Ben, who is would be an ambassador to him, and they wanted to show off how much they knew of their pop culture, or how much they knew of their culture. And in a strange way, it's kind of deep, but the silliness is unbelievably high in this. It's Robin Williams level of manic. And Neek doesn't do anything but just cheer him on and belly laugh and clap and stuff. And while this is going on, another ship shows up, and you find out that Neek and Whack are just two siblings, who are children as well, who stole their dad's car and went on a joyride and tried to make new friends. So the dad comes in, Whack's dad, also played by Robert Picardo, but just the body. The voice was done by Frank Megatron Welker, because it's all their language, and that's what Frank Welker does best, is weird noises and stuff. Look at his IMDb page. It's like 7,000 roles, but a lot of them are like animal sounds or this noise or goat noises. Frank Welker's a legend. So after his dad shows up, he just yells at Whack the whole time, and he's trying to get him to figure it out. And he basically says, "You're done," and puts the kids back in the Thunder Road and sends them back to Earth. And it malfunctions when they get back, and the Thunder Road crashes into a body of water. Not sure if it's a lake or the ocean, or who knows. They don't even say where they're at anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You just know that it's in a body of water, and they all get out before it sinks, and it's gone forever. And then there's a bit of a non-ending. It doesn't end right. It doesn't really end at all. Kind of. Ben is in class, and he's distracted because he kept thinking about the adventure he just had, and then he looks in the corner, and there's the Thunder Road all shiny and new, and then he has this dream right afterwards where he's flying in the sky, and he's joined by his friends and the girl he's mildly obsessed with, which they started in the movie. They started talking about this in the movie, and then they just kind of just brushed that away. Adolescent love doesn't need to be in an adventure movie, I guess. I don't know. And it just does these fast clips of the adventure, and then it's over. When I was a kid, I watched it every single chance I could get. It was just a fun movie that I enjoyed watching growing up. I really connected with characters, especially Ben, being a sci-fi nerd, knowing the sci-fi references and stuff. And I just love child adventure movies like The Goonies, The Monster Squad, Stand By Me, those kind of things. See, I told you I was going to talk about it. Oh, like The Goonies and Lost Boys and that kind of stuff. Even Stand By Me. And as a kid, I just really loved the ending too. I love the effects and the silliness. But the big question, do I still love this movie as an adult? Well, the answer is yes. But, and this is a big but, I really believe to love it for what it is, and this sounds so gatekeeper-y though, you have to be a child of the 80s. You have to know the culture and the time and everything that was going on during that time to really encompass it. Just the culture alone, the wardrobes, the way people acted, the bullies, everything. It was just so 80s, and the whole feeling of it just the 80s part of it just gave it its charm. And being part of that generation was very inclusive, I guess. If I ever had kids, I would show them this movie, and I would show them and be like, "This is weird. This is how I grew up." Well, I didn't go to space and visit aliens, but that kind of thing. But it's not really timeless. It's a specific time, and if you encompass that into your viewing brain, then you'll have a good time with this movie. So how do I feel about the last act as an adult? It's not the best. I didn't enjoy it as much. I could quote every single line. I know this whole movie backwards and forwards, but watching it, just sitting down and watching it, like just taking it in as an adult, I can see why people don't like this movie because of the last act. It doesn't fit the realism of the lead up to the adventure, the lead up to where they go, and this is the payoff that you get. It sucked. The ending just kind of sucks, and I don't blame Joe Dante for this. He didn't like the way it went. they got a new producer, and the producer, lived by what the studio told them to do. So this new producer had them make it more silly than it was supposed to be. And kudos to Joe Dante, who doesn't hate the film. He's said that he likes it for what it is. He's happy he got to make it. He's grateful that he got to give Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix their first Hollywood start. And there's a rumor that he still has his original cut of the movie, which he said was pushing about 3 hours. And boy, I would love to see that. Let's start a petition. # release the Dante cut. My final thoughts that Explorers is a fun movie. It's a damn fun movie, full of just 80s goodness and cheese. The visuals actually still hold up. The circuit board dreams are great. The flying stuff doesn't look matted on. The acting is superb. And the score by the legendary Jerry Goldsmith is unforgettable. Once you hear the main Explorers theme, it'll be stuck in your head forever. It's playing in my head right now. It's just that damn final act that makes the movie fall apart. But if you haven't seen it and you enjoy 80s humor and culture, I definitely recommend you check it out. Even if it's just seeing young River Phoenix and Ethan Hawke starring their first roles. And you can see, even in 1985, they were destined for greatness. Rest in peace, River Phoenix. You were gone too soon. As of this recording, you can see it on Amazon Prime. So if you have Prime, do yourself a favor and go on an adventure that'll punch you right in the childhood, in a good way. It just hits you right here, right in the childhood. Enjoy the ride up to space, and maybe you even might enjoy the destination. But thanks for coming with me on this journey, and my first episode of this new rebranding of my retro reviews. I'm very happy that I decided to change it to retro rewatch, because I don't really like reviewing movies. It's very touch and go, because you don't want to say something's good or bad. You just want to talk about. I want to talk about the movie itself, and I hope you like this. If you do, let me know in the comments below. If you don't, let me know in the comments below, and I'll change it, or I'll change it towards a better format. I think we're having a good time, and I hope to do more of these soon. I'm definitely going to do more of them. I just hope I do more of them soon. So that's it. Thanks for joining us. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to follow Cinemadness the podcast on cinemadnesspodcast.com. And I will see you for my next movie. What could it be?